the lady with the white hair. Danny Parsons was a young working mum. She was married to Brian Parsons and had 2 kids, a boy and a girl. At this time, the girl was 6 years old and the boy was about 3 years old. And they lived in a house in the UK in Early, and it was a big, very scary old house, the kind you'd see in a horror movie. It was very big, the garden was very overgrown, very old-fashioned, and they lived there for a couple of years. And strange occurrences started to happen. The young boy in his bedroom one night, and the parents were downstairs, all of a sudden hear a guttural screaming. They know it's their son, but they've never heard him scream like this before. They run upstairs, burst into his room and ask him what's wrong. He tells them that a lady came in with white hair, an old lady, wearing a black dress, and she floated in, and when he started screaming at her, she looked scared, horrified, almost like I'd frightened her, and she went back out the door. This was the first thing that happened, but things got worse rather quickly. You see, Danny and Brian were having some problems, marital problems, and I think all the bad energy and the vibes were starting to stir up things in the house. Another instance was when the daughter was upstairs, and all of a sudden there was a crashing and a banging. The parents run upstairs to find their daughter in the corner of the room. The wardrobe doors had come off the hinges and fallen onto the bed where she would have been sleeping. And still to this day, she doesn't remember it, and she couldn't tell them what had happened at the time. Then other things started to happen. The father woke up one morning and he had a crucifix stained on his chest. He says he doesn't know how to do it. He doesn't know how it happened, and people have suggested that he may have done it himself, but he swears he didn't do it. So then there was an exorcism, and they're brought into the house. Now I don't know if it worked or not. Probably it didn't, because the person that did the exorcism was, he was a family member, and I don't think he really knew what he was doing. Anyway, Danny and Brian finally got divorced. It was a messy divorce. Danny moved in with her mum, with the 2 kids. And this is where strange occurrences kept happening to the boy. The next strange occurrence was my mum moved from the house that we were living in with my grandparents, and we got a 2-bedroom flat. It was like a council high-rise flat. Now, when I went there, I had horrible problem with banging in the walls and banging following me around the house. I would leave my bedroom and the banging in the walls, in the ceiling, in the floor would follow me from my bedroom into the toilet. If I'd react to the banging and say the banging went knock, 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 and then I went knock, 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 it would mimic what I did. If I went knock, knock, it would go knock, knock, and that scared me as a child. Also, upstairs you'd hear screaming. It was almost like it was coming from upstairs, like women being tortured screaming. I heard it a lot when I was growing up, so badly to the point that I ended up phoning the police to check on the flat above me. But there was nothing wrong with the flat above me. And I was always scared in that room. I always felt someone was right up to my face watching me. Well, that was my childhood really, and they're the sort of things that happened until one day I had sleep paralysis. I'm probably in my late teens now, and I remember being on my bed waking up, and there was a white-haired lady in the corner of the room, and I couldn't move. I know it was the one from when I was a child. It took everything for me to get up. The fear in me was unbelievable, but the fear turned to anger, and I started screaming, and I eventually managed to find the power to get up, and the thing left. It left. but unfortunately comes back every 2 years to check on me. The next time I had sleep paralysis, I remember seeing myself being pushed through my bed from a side-on view. My daughter was there at the time. We were living in a boat. I'd moved into a boat at this point, and I also think the boat may have been haunted as well. I remember being pushed into my bed and then flipping from a side view into my eye view, and I was going through the bed, I can remember. And I remember calling for my daughter. She ran in. She said the same thing. I was being pushed through the bed. These instances got stranger and stranger. Sometimes I'd wake up and I couldn't open my eyes, but I know I could move my arm. For example, this is strange, this can sound strange, but I could move my arm and I could still see my arm in front of my eyes while they were closed, and I know my arm was still on the bed and it hadn't moved. It was a very strange out-of-body experiences that I was having on this boat. Then, stupidly, I decided to ghost hunt. I started to download devices on my phone. I decided to, spirit boxes, all these sort of things, cameras that catch ghosts, different heat signatures, things like that. And at this point, when I started doing all of this, things started moving. Now, this is the first time I've ever seen anything move in my life. But I saw washing up bottles move. I saw cups move, plates move, things thrown off the sides when I was sat down. It never scared me. These things don't really scare me. I don't know why. People scare me. And ghosts and demons, they don't. But it was still unnerving, let's say. And then when my daughter would come to this boat, she would see the same thing. She would see orbs, and we'd see orbs both together at the same time. And I've even got footage of these orbs flying around my boat. I didn't mention before as well, the flat I used to live in, sorry for jumping back and forth, the flat I used to live in, my mum lived there for 36 years, and then my daughter moved into that flat. And she had the same experiences that my mum never did while she was living there. My sister never did, but my daughter was harassed with banging, following her around the flat. She was petrified of sleeping there. And she still has experiences to this day. I still have experiences to this day. But it's just a quick little story to tell you how the supernatural is intertwined with all of our lives, and the more you look into it, the more it hooks into you. I still have sleep paralysis. I still see the white lady, but I've learned to live with it. Good night.